Hello, friends. This is Parag here, your host on Stay Strong podcast. Thank you very much for joining this informative session. Today, we have a guest from Ireland. His name is Phil Greenfield. He's a chiropractor practitioner. He started lifting kettlebells at the age of 57. Today, he is 61. 4 years he's lifting kettlebells. He represents Ireland and he lifts marathon and pentathlon. He's lifting 10-minute classic, but he's more focused on lifting longer lifts, which is marathon 30-minute events. We are going to see how does he train, what nutrition does he take, and how does he safely trains using his experience so that he can train for a longer amount of time. Guys, please help me welcome Phil from Ireland. Hello friends, welcome back. Today we have Phil in-house from Ireland. Over to you, Phil. Please introduce yourself. How did you get into kettlebell sport? And most important, what is your professional background?
Yeah, thank you. Lovely to be here with you, Parag. Yeah, thanks for inviting me. Yes, my name's Phil Greenfield. I live in the Republic of Ireland in Dublin.
Okay.
I've only been here since September 2021. I lived most of my life in the Midlands in the UK.
Okay.
I'm a chiropractor. I've been practicing for 30 years.
Okay.
So I spend most of my days helping out people with body pain problems and movement and injury problems. And my interest in bodies and the way they move and the way they function came from a lifetime's interest and practice in martial arts.
Okay.
So when I was a teenager, I got involved in Aikido, which I found absolutely fascinating. And then I spent many years doing a kind of traditional style of karate.
Okay.
And then when I was about 40, I was finding the karate quite hard going. You know, me and my friends were picking up quite a lot of injuries along the way.
Okay.
And I stumbled across a teacher of Bagua Zhang, which is one of the Chinese internal martial arts, a bit similar to Tai Chi.
Okay.
And I spent 6 or 7 years training with him, and that absolutely transformed my life. So I was very pleased to have made that association. And I use a lot of the stuff that I've learned from martial arts in my practice, in my chiropractic practice, in terms of encouraging good movement, you know, postural awareness, stuff like that. And the fascination I have with kettlebell sport is a kind of a bit geeky as much as anything else, because one of the primary principles that I'm interested in terms of health is working with the skeleton as a support structure.
Okay.
And so we'll talk a little bit more about that, I'm sure, as we go along.
Absolutely.
So although I'd done, you know, a fair bit of movement work and I'd got reasonable mobility and a certain amount of strength, I'd never actually engaged in strength training until I was 57, which was 4 years ago.
Okay.
And I have to say, you know, that I feel better in my body now than when I was 40, you know, and that is absolutely no untruth at all. And so I really put that down to getting involved in kettlebell sport. And I can see really clearly from my own experience, and this is very much attested to by the research at the moment, how important strength training is for people as they get older, not just in terms of the structure of their body, but also in terms of confidence, in terms of mental health, you know, having that sort of confidence in your body to be able to do tasks above and beyond your normal day-to-day is something you take for granted when you're young. But a lot of people lose it along with their range of motion when they get older. And so, I'm a great advocate now for older people getting stronger. But I wouldn't have said that years ago. You know, I used to be very cynical about strength training and think that people who went to gyms were a bit crazy.
Okay.
So I need to eat my words on that one.
Okay. Wow. So you got introduced to sport 4 years back.
Yeah.
Okay. So who introduced kettlebell sport to you?
Again, another kind of chance meeting. It turned out to be my partner, Maria Moran, who introduced me to kettlebell sport. Maria is a lifter with the Irish team. She's got several World Championship gold medals under her belt and is current world record holder for pentathlon at her weight category.
Okay.
So she's a very accomplished lifter. And when I first came to Ireland, I was across doing some workshops, basic body awareness stuff, and I was invited to do a talk at a gym where Maria was doing her training.
Okay.
And just watching her actually doing what she did, given that she's sub, 60 kilos, and she's hoofing a 24-kilo bell above her head for 5 minutes each side. I'm going like, this is crazy. It's like, how can this be possible? Because she's not excessively muscular. And in getting to talk with her, it was clear that it was all about technique. And, it's not something, I mean, she'd obviously trained to that capability, but she'd not kind of looked at it in the way I was looking at it, which was like, how do you actually manage to keep that weight up there without getting in danger? And the way she described it was all to do with like getting the body lined up underneath the bell. So very much to do with the support of the skeleton. So I was like, oh, this is fascinating, because this is what I'm really interested in. And so we had discussions, and eventually we ended up together, which was lovely. And I moved over here to be with her in September 21, like I say.
Okay.
And she, she's been so inspirational to me, not just on that technical level, but also encouraging me as an older person to get involved in something that I wouldn't have touched. And so I'm very pleased I met Maria. That's for sure.
Wow, that's a really great journey. Now, you didn't had exposure to strength training,
No.
But did you had any exposure to any kind of fitness activity, because you're a chiropractor? So, like yoga. Well, you've been doing martial arts, but did you combine yoga with it, or how did it work?
Yeah,
flexibility work.
Yeah. I mean, there was always a degree of like assistance work involved in martial arts. I mean, my Bagua teacher always used to do like an hour and a half warm up and then an hour and a half class. And he'd say that the warm up was probably the more important part of the training, because it was putting into place basic principles, working on flexibility and strength. Yes. And a lot of it was to do with, rather than using huge weights, it was to do with using the body weight in some very interesting loading positions. Positions that you wouldn't normally get yourself into.
Yes.
And the way I looked at that from a health perspective was that if you could actually load yourself into those positions successfully and come out of them, working in those end ranges with strength, then you were a lot safer when you were walking down the pavement, just going about your everyday business.
Yes.
If you had a fall or a slip, then if you actually came up against one of those loading patterns, you'd be able to recover from it.
Yes.
So I did kind of feel that my fitness needs were being addressed through martial arts, but I'd never got into a lot of cardio. I found getting out of breath being very, very unpleasant. It was something that I really didn't like and hadn't liked for the whole of my life.
Okay.
And so Kettlebell Sport has obviously introduced me to getting out of breath in a way which I wouldn't have done years ago.
Yes. Now, having a martial arts background, you supposedly have a very good cardiovascular system, because you've been doing a lot of art, which involves a lot of work. Because I myself, I'm a black belt, first dan Kyokushin Kai.
Yeah. Okay.
So I also have a martial arts background, and it really helped me also get into the kettlebell sport a little faster. Yeah. Now you have a background of both. You understand movements better than anyone else, because you are into a practicing of chiropractor. Now, how did you really combine these things to get your form correct faster? And what did you learn in this process? Say, for example, if I'm doing clean and jerk, if I'm doing snatch, how did your skill set help this movement get better?
Yeah.
Like, did you work on a back? Did you work on your legs or knees or joint or hip joint? You understand what I want to say?
Yes, absolutely.
A normal person, if he really wants to get the form correct, and if he's not getting the pelvic tilt, what technique did you apply?
I think one of the things that informed me the most as I got into kettlebell sport was the practice of Jian Zhuang, standing practice, which I'd been introduced to by a teacher called Bruce Francis in America. And that was also kind of followed up by my Bagua teacher. And I remember the first class we went to study Bagua, and me and my mates who'd done karate for many years, and we were all a bit nervous and a bit kind of, what's this going to be about? And we all stood ready for action. And he walked along the line, and he said to us, he said, I'm pretty sure that I'm not going to be able to teach you what I know about internal martial arts, because none of you know how to stand on your own 2 feet.
Oh.
And I was like, it was one of those moments where I either went, well, or actually he's right, you know.
Okay.
And it really struck me that a lot of the stuff we'd learned in traditional karate wasn't serving the basic function of movement and load bearing. So he, over the next few years, he just stripped it all back to nothing. And we started, you know, with that basic standing practice of like, can you relax and bear your own weight through your skeleton in a way that allows muscles to relax, and so you're ready to move. And that's really a practice for martial practice, for health practice. And I just extended it into kettlebell work, because I know that when I've got a weight above my head, I don't want to be over here and I don't want to be here. I want to be in the middle, because if I'm in the middle and everything's lined up, then the bones will guide the weight and the muscles can relax.
Yes.
So for me, it was a process of learning how to relax whilst exerting and loading.
Okay.
That's what I brought to kettlebell sport from my martial arts training, as well as hopefully efficient breathing. You know, that was the biggest one.
Okay. Okay.
And it was interesting talking to Maria about this, because I mean, she's a 3rd degree in Kyokushin, so she'd had a pretty big martial arts experience, but she'd just found her way into how to lift kettlebells by being relaxed. You know, by, you know, as she says, like, you know, let the bell do the work. You know, while you just guide it through its path.
Yes.
And so I felt I was coming at it under the instructions of a Zen master in kettlebell sport. So I think I managed to cut through a lot of the stuff, which was great for me as an older lifter, because, you know, if I hadn't have had those kind of guidances from Maria, I'd be like, rah, 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 you know, and like really trying to muscle it up and effort it. But what she was saying matched so much with my martial arts experience that it allowed me to approach it in a really relaxed way. And that's what I've tried to maintain.
Okay. Got it. Wow. Now, at this age, I'm guessing it is 61.
Yeah.
Correct me if, yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So at this age, there are a couple of things which usually a general person who's getting started with weight training, he loses. First is motivation.
Yes.
He really do not want to lift because probably many reasons, family reasons, probably he's not really motivated to go to the gym and do exercise. So I would want you to throw your views on this. How do you manage this? And second is, when you're lifting, a lot of times we carry some baggages. Say, for example, you have some medical issues, some mental issues, some physical issues. How do you deal with that?
Yes. Okay. One of the great advantages, I think, of being an older lifter, maybe, and it was certainly the case for me, is actually, or an older person, is that you lose a bit of your ego.
Yeah.
And
sure.
you realize that the benefits you're going to get are from competing against yourself rather than against others. And I mean, I've never been a competitive person against others, but I'm actually quite enjoying being on the platform and looking who's next to me and, like, you know, seeing how well I can do. So there is a bit of kind of internal competitiveness that is kind of been sparked in me, which really helps to drive me on. And I do think one of the big things is about having community.
Yeah.
You know, having a community of lifters. me and Maria train together at home because we're not near a club in Dublin. But the online community over the last few years has been absolutely inspiring, you know, because we all know each other when we go to national competitions, when we go to international competitions, because we see each other online all the time. And one of the great ones is the online Kettlebell Challenge Cup.
Yes.
Have you seen that one?
Yeah. I think Del Wilson manages that.
Absolutely. I mean, Del and Graham Morris, and John Martin, who admin that. I mean, it's and you know, it's been going for a lot of years, but it's getting very popular. And I think it's one of the things that kept people together, particularly during lockdown, during the pandemic.
Yes.
But I find it's like every month there's a target.
Yes.
Let's see what we can do with it. So I find that hugely motivating, you know, even when there's nothing else going on. But the main motivation is that Maria kind of kicks me hard up the arse if I don't get myself in gear. So,
Okay.
so yeah. In terms of injuries, I've been very blessed, I have to say, not having picked up anything serious. I've never had any fractures or surgery in my life. Never any serious injuries that have taken me out for any length of time. And I think I'm used to listening to my body. I remember when we started backward training, our teacher would put us in really difficult positions like horse positions and all sorts of stuff that was really, stress postures.
Yes.
And he said, I'm doing this because I want you to know the difference between emotional pain and structural pain. Okay, so emotional pain was that thing that comes up in you that goes, I just don't want to do this anymore. I hate this. I wish I'd never started it. And I hate the teacher as well. In fact, I hate everything. I hate the world. And you just get into that mindset where you just get antsy and you want to stop because you're not in the mood. So that was what he called emotional pain. And structural pain was the point where your knee was actually going to explode. When your joint was actually going to get damaged if you did not stop doing what you were doing. Because he said, if you can tell the difference between those two, you'll be capable of extraordinary feats, because it's very hard to destroy the body, but it's very easy to get to the point where you just go, I don't want to do this anymore. And we all know that feeling in the middle of a 10-minute set, don't we?
Yes.
Or towards the end of a 10-minute set.
Yes, absolutely. Great.
I think the other thing that's helped me as an older person was coming across marathon and pentathlon, because it's multi-switch.
Okay.
In the UK, we have a format called grassroots competition, which is a 5-minute competition.
Yes.
Which means that, anybody can get involved. It's such a wonderful thing.
Yes.
But
yes.
10 minutes, 10 minutes is hard.
Yes.
And I certainly found it hard. And I've never really gone very far with GS or biathlon.
With 2 kettlebells.
Or even with one, just doing 5 minutes each side. I'm not trained up to do 10-minute sets.
Okay.
But pentathlon and marathon I love because it's multi-switch.
Multi-switch, yes.
Because you can work your way up.
Yes.
You can work your way into heavier weights and longer times, and you can do that without damaging yourself or discouraging yourself. So I think multi-switch is a wonderful thing. And some people will go, oh, you need to man up, and get yourself doing 10 minutes. But it's not something I've done much of.
Great. Now you've been doing martial arts practice and you've been training yourself until 4 years back when you got exposed to kettlebells.
Yeah.
Now tell me 2 biggest advantages. You got involved with the kettlebells and that has helped you mentally, physically.
Yes.
And when you are doing martial arts, you are not lifting kettlebells.
No.
But still you are physically fit.
Yes.
But now, after 4 or 5 years, you're lifting kettlebells and probably you're more physically fit.
Yes.
So what are the 2 biggest advantages, which in general people will really like, which you understand what I want to say?
Yes. Yeah. And there's 2 things I think I learned particularly from Bagwajang, which was a degree of fluidity in my body, of movement, and also sensitivity. So there's a lot of partner work in Bagwajang where you're working with the other person and pushing hands and just basically working out where the forces are in people's bodies and how to change that. So there's a lot of sensitivity and an internal awareness involved. I found after a couple of years of kettlebell lifting, I was getting more tight in my legs, getting more tension in my legs than I was used to. And I didn't find it very pleasant.
Okay.
And I was kind of thinking, I've lost all that kind of softness. And, it's like the yin and the yang, they both need cultivating. But I felt that I'd lost a lot of that softness, which I'd worked a long time to get. Because when I was a young man, it's like my body was wired.
Okay.
It took me years to learn to relax.
Okay.
So I thought I might be kind of losing something. But only recently I've gone back to a Tai Chi class in Dublin. And I suddenly find that I can find that relaxation again really easily. So I've not lost it. So that's made me quite happy that I can find that power, and find that strength and solidity in my legs. But also when I want to turn it off, then I can turn it off. And that's what I've always been searching. And that's what I think is one of the secrets to good health or good anything, really. It's like when you call on it, it's there.
Yes.
So when you want to let it go, then you can let it go, whether it's in your mind or your emotions or your body.
Yes.
You know, it's like you can just move it or let it go.
Yes, yes. Okay, okay, great. Wow. Coming to nutrition, so how do you take care of your nutrition? Do you supplement yourself with anything before, pre-competition? In general, do you have whey protein? Are you vegetarian, non-vegetarian, and maybe you have any food choices which has helped kettlebell sport?
I am sad to say that I pay no attention to my nutrition whatsoever and never have done. So I've always been a meat eater. I eat a reasonably balanced diet, although I'm not fond of fruit. I've never taken a supplement in my life.
Yeah.
Again, like I used to be cynical about people who went to the gym. There's a certain cynicism in me about the way that supplements are marketed.
Yeah.
Because people have come to the point where they actually can't do without them because they think that's what's supporting their good health. And I'm sure it makes a contribution, but I've always been interested in the basic principles behind good health, which for me are nutrition, sleep,
Okay.
movement, work-life balance, relationships, mental health,
Yes.
and if you kind of get those in order, then I've always trusted that the body is a self-healing unit. That if you put the conditions in place, it will sort itself out. And I know that's a bit of a generalization, but I do get a little bit. The one thing that gets me in a bit of a rant is seeing the way things are marketed and targeted at vulnerable people. When actually it's stuff they probably don't need. But that's just my opinion.
Okay, okay. So you're really not much into the supplementation. But
Nothing.
Okay,
Zero.
okay. So do you eat non-veg, or you have any choices? Like, are you vegan, vegetarian?
I eat a fairly mixed diet. I'm a meat eater.
Okay.
In Ireland, there's good meat, good vegetables. So, and the food's very simple. We actually cook from scratch most of the time. So, kind of think I'm doing all right, but it's something that I have deliberately avoided in finding out about.
Okay, 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 great. Do you have any negative experience about kettlebell lifting, Phil? Anything, or if not, that's fine. But still,
Not really. No.
okay.
I mean, maybe I'm not long into it. Maybe that'll come along. But I kind of see so much beauty in it and so much utility, particularly because of the increments of weight, of time, of reps.
Yes.
That you can actually build things up dependent on your own capabilities. I kind of look at the way, excuse me, I look at the way that people train who I've known, and sometimes you see people pushing a bit hard. And I think, well, I won't say particularly men, but particularly men in their 40s, when they start to kind of go, I might be losing it a bit here, I need to push a bit harder. And I think I'm glad that I came at it when I was the age that I was, rather than banging into that when I was in my mid-40s. Because it's a shame when people push themselves to the point where they injure themselves and have to stop what they're doing.
Yeah.
No, it's a tragedy, an absolute tragedy, particularly if it's their main thing. Because if you lose something that's your main thing, it can affect you on lots of levels.
Yes, 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 yes.
So I think one of the challenges, really, particularly as you get to the middle of your life, is knowing what's appropriate.
Okay.
And knowing that the curve will probably flatten off.
Yes.
I entered it at the point where the curve had already flattened off. So what I saw was a huge progression from nothing to where I am now. So that was great because that made me feel fantastic. Yes. But I am aware that because of the way the body changes over the years, it's likely that my involvement will probably stay at a certain level to a certain extent. I'm not going to be hoofing 232s for half an hour.
Yeah.
Not a chance. But that's okay because I don't mind.
Yes, absolutely. And you really need to enjoy every moment, especially when you're lifting kettlebells. Yeah. All those 10 minutes or maybe 30 minutes has to be not too much boredom for you. It has to be a kind of enjoyment for you.
Yeah, I always think if you're bored with something, get out. It's like there's no point driving it to the point where you hate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, great. Wow. Yeah, you've been coaching. You've been taking coaching with someone. Have you ever tried to coach without someone?
I haven't been coached. I just copy Maria. It's like, I mean, she'll encourage me, but she basically kind of, I'm using the same kind of approach that she did, which is to kind of look at my own experience and bring that to the table, or the platform, I should say, but also watch what other people are doing. I get a lot from watching and seeing. What I'm looking for is like, how much hard work is this for this person? Where is the energy getting wasted? Where is the efficiency disappearing? And so I then try and take that back into my own lifting. And I like to video myself, and the good thing about the online competition is that you're getting a chance every month to put your technique out on a video.
Yes.
And often people will message you and go, oh, did you know you were doing this? And I go, oh no, I didn't know I was doing that. So then you can go back to it and modify it. So there's a sort of a community coaching that goes on in that community, which is fantastic. And I don't know if I do well with a coach. I'm a little bit rebellious.
Okay.
But I can imagine, if you're up there in the top 5 and you're going for competition, it's like, of course you need a coach. You need somebody to hold you accountable, and you need somebody to make you the top 1. But that's not going to be me, so I don't care so much.
Okay, great. Do you find any challenges for the recovery field after any kind of a strenuous training? That's my first question. Second is, how does your training look the entire week? Yeah. Do you do strength training, kettlebells, or kettlebell strength training on the same day? If you can just...
Yeah, I do 3 sessions a week of kettlebell training.
Okay.
I mean, Maria, because she's been training for a number of years, she's got a whole raft of programs, a book full of stuff that she can draw on. And I tend to sort of feel my way into it in terms of what I need to do. So on the 11th of March, we've got the qualifiers for the England team for the IKMF this year.
Okay.
So last year I did pentathlon in Belgium, and this year I'm just doing 1 arm long cycle half marathon.
Okay, what weight?
With 20.
Okay.
So what I'm doing is I'm going, okay, what do I need to qualify? How do I feel I am at the moment? How can I look in the next few weeks and actually decide what sets to do that will give me the most confidence in myself that I can get the number I want? So I kind of just design it myself. And I'll also intersperse it with a little bit of running. I've just started running, which is something I've never done before as well, which I'm enjoying.
Okay.
And a little bit of assistance work. But, my main thing is that I feel so blessed to be able to compete in these competitions. It's like, who'd have thought it? You come at something 4 years later, you're at a World Championships. And part of that is my age, because there's as you get towards the older years, there's less competitors.
Yeah.
So that's great.
You get more luckier to get on the podium.
Absolutely, yeah. And I appreciate, I'm aware of that, but I think it's an absolute blessing, just to be involved at that level. It's fantastic.
Yes.
So really, I kind of just feel my way and don't get too serious about it, but know what I need to do on the day. That's my target, because if I went on the day and I didn't do what I was wanting to do, I would never forgive myself, because I know I would have slipped up somewhere in terms of preparing. So we're on the way. We've got a dry run at the Irish Nationals qualifiers in 2 weeks' time. Okay. So we'll be having a go there and see what happens.
Good luck. Good luck for that.
Thank you.
Great. Can you share your best lifting numbers when it comes to 10-minute classic, if you have done, and marathon?
Yeah, I haven't done 10 minutes for a long time. I did it in the first year, and it's like I try it now and I go, how the hell did I manage to do it in that first year? It's like I must have just been blanking everything out and like going for it. So I don't think I can even remember what those numbers are. This is my proudest moment, was this bronze medal for the England team at Maia in Portugal last year.
Yeah.
I did 30 minutes one-arm long cycle with the 16, got 354, I think, something like that.
Okay.
That was a reasonable pace. And there was three of us on the platform, three old guys, and I came third, so that was all right. So luckily there wasn't four of us, so I was happy about that.
Okay.
And then my marathon score's about 11:50 at the moment, something like that. And
Okay.
I'm hoping to. I mean, I find, sorry, not marathon, pentathlon. And so I find pentathlon, I think, is the one thing. I mean, I use it as a warm up. Just because it's so varied in terms of the lifts, and I think it's got such a lot going for it, because you can fiddle about with the weights and the numbers and the speed, and you can start to creep your points up gradually.
Okay.
So I'm very, very keen on pentathlon.
Okay.
So that's what I'll probably pursue, I would think.
In the upcoming competitions.
Yeah, I would think so. Yeah.
Okay.
And they've just introduced a double bell pentathlon at the IKMF this year.
Okay.
I'm not going anywhere near that.
Okay. Slowly you will.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Yeah.
Okay.
So good luck to those guys. That's all I can say.
Yes. Can you give us a tip, like a short information to take care of yourself before you get into kettlebell training, especially because of your background?
Yeah.
Like something specifically for the spine, maybe for the posterior chain, that is for the hamstring, calves, glutes. Maybe if you can just.
Yeah. I think, I've always been very interested in how people's movement patterns change as they get older.
Okay.
If you watch a 5-year-old child, it's like their movement is complete. If all things are equal, their ranges of movement on the joints are actually as full as they can be. And then you look at somebody who's 95 and you go, where did it go? And more to the point, when did it go? What did they start losing first that has brought about this huge loss of range of motion, when they're in the 70s and 80s? And I think there's some fundamental movements, that probably take 2 minutes a day to perform, that if you do them, then you're never going to lose them. So I'll get out of bed in the morning and I'll do 3 flat foot squats.
Yeah.
Because if I do them today, I can do them tomorrow.
Yeah.
And if I do them tomorrow, I can do them when I'm 95, all being well. Yeah.
Yes.
So the squat, I think is absolutely fundamental to human movement. Thoracic rotation, the rotation of the thoracic spine.
Okay.
Is one of the most important movements that gets lost a lot in modern people. And I think a lot of it is to do with the breathing.
Yes.
When people lose their diaphragm breathing and they get all strung up in chest breathing, then the rib cage gets very inflated and the thoracic motion starts to deteriorate.
Yes.
So for me, that's another one of just like standing for a couple of minutes and just getting the thoracic spine to rotate.
Okay.
And also this one.
Okay.
Just spanning the palm. When you look at the patterns that happen to older people,
okay,
that cause them so much trouble, one is that they don't trust their knees to lower them to the floor anymore.
Yes. Okay.
So they start using their back. So this is where squats come in. You often see people who lose hand span, and they have thumbs like this.
Yes.
Particularly in people who do crochet and knitting. And they end up here, and it's like this causes havoc in people's lives. So I'm like, okay, 5 of them every day.
Okay.
And then I'm not going to lose it. So 1, 2, and squats. And maybe a little bit of shoulder blade mobility.
Okay.
And I think if you can get into the habit of taking your joints through a regular range of motion every day, which takes 10 minutes, to start at the fingers and work through. You don't need to know what to do. You just move the joints the way they go.
Okay.
It's like, how can you lose your movement if you do it every day? So simple.
Okay. Wow, thank you. That's great.
You're welcome.
Okay, so before we end, what message do you want to give to our viewers, especially the lifters above 45 who want to get into the kettlebell sport?
I would say, even if you're unsure, give it a go, because you will probably find benefits that you didn't know were there. I would say to people, who are over 45 and training, it's like, be aware that your body changes as you get older. Be respectful of those changes and start to spot them when they happen, but don't be discouraged. It's like, keep moving for a lifetime, without being obsessed about it. Keep your joints moving for a lifetime, because we know that the people who get least healthy as they get older are the people whose movement is affected.
Okay.
So movement, motion, range of motion is probably one of the most important things that you can work on, as well as sleep and nutrition.
Okay.
And hydration and all those things.
Yes.
But yeah, just keep moving. Keep moving.
Okay. Wow. Great. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Phil, thank you. It's a great information masterclass actually, with your background, and I'm glad that we connected, because such kind of information is very important for the people who really want to understand how they can get into kettlebell sport. Is kettlebell sport for only for the people who are doing weight training or kind of marathon? If they're not doing any kind of activity, can they get into this? So my purpose is to reach out to maximum people so that they basically can get into the kettlebell sport.
Absolutely. And one of the finest things about kettlebell sport, and probably the finest thing, is the community.
Yeah, absolutely. It's absolutely great community.
Being with other people that keeps us healthy. So, we're very lucky that we've got such a supportive community.
We always have a healthy competition.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you, Phil. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much.
And I really look forward to meet you again. I think I've seen you in Portugal when I was there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
We just didn't met, but I guess when I when I searched for you, I said, "Hey, Phil, I think I saw this guy." Yeah. There are many people, of course.
Yeah.
But now next time I'm gonna catch and have a coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Lovely to meet you, Parrot.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Bye now.